Sup, guys, this is Baseball for FPC, and today I'm bringing you another custom Nazi Zombie gameplay video. I'm playing on the map Nazi Zombie Tim Hortons, which was created by Musty Runner, and it was released a few months ago. I believe it was back in November of 2012, so fairly recent, I guess, if you want to call last year. I know I can say last year now. Last year's map fairly recent. But anyways, this was a rather entertaining map. I'd first of all like to thank Zeba the Zombie Hugger for actually showing me the map, and she gave me some info regarding the 4-player co-op strategy, which I'll be explaining to you a little bit later on in the video. So anyways, let's get started talking about the map a little bit. This is probably a medium-sized Dore style map. It doesn't have a couple features that most Dore style maps have. It does not have dogs, and it does not have the Carpenter power-up, so with the exception of those two things, basically everything else is Dore style. You have all 4 perks, you've got the Pack-a-Punch, the Bowie Knife, Monkeys, Wonder Waffa, and so basically everything else that a Dore style map would have, with the exception of Carpenter and dogs. So, if you don't like dogs, this is the map for you. Anyways, this is a rather difficult map, I won't lie to you. I actually, it's one of those maps, it kind of takes you by surprise. I'm playing this and I'm like, yeah, I should be able to beat this a lot quicker than I'm doing at the current moment. So I kept on playing it over and over and over again, finally beat it, finally got a strategy down. I tried several different strategies in the beginning. Those didn't work as well, so I basically went with my final strategy, which is the one that I'll pitch to you, and that tends to work out the best. So anyways, in the very beginning where I first spawned, you've got the Arasaka with Bayonet for 400, you also have a Bible Nambu for 50, and then you opened up the door that I just bought for 1750, or rather the barricade, and inside there you've got the music box as well as the MP40, which I bought. And so, usually, and I say usually, with the exception of the run-through that I'm doing right now, I buy the Arasaka with the Bayonet because I usually don't have enough points to first buy that door for 1750 and then the MP40 for another 1,000. And so usually I buy the Arasaka, kind of keeps the zombies off my back because it does get a little intense out here if you still only have the pistol. However, I did get lucky with some of the drops, and so that worked out fine. I didn't have to spend the 400 on the Arasaka, went straight to the MP40. Now you can go two ways from here. You can go out through that car for 1,500, or you can go inside Tim Hortons, and that costs a little bit more, and then you have to buy another barricade before you can actually buy a weapon. So I'll be going first inside the coffee shop, and then we'll go from there, and that's the way that I would recommend. There's also another barricade inside one of those tents for 1,250, I believe it is. All that's in there is a Gwir with aperture sight, I believe, and so not really worth going in there unless you particularly want the Gwir. So I've never gone in there like during a legit playthrough, and by legit I mean I was trying to record and win. So anyways, there's also mortar rounds out here, and I didn't actually buy those just because mortar rounds tend to be pretty risky when you're playing solo. Depending on the area of effect that the mapper has decided to implement, they can kill you pretty easily, and so I know firsthand experience because I have those in one of the maps that I've been working on, and so they can be extremely deadly. So I just I didn't buy those, I didn't even decide to show you them. Those are 2K, and then you also have quick revive out in the spawn area. So we've gone inside the diner here. There's several spawns inside here. You can kind of bottleneck the remaining few that come through the door, and then I'd recommend once you get enough points, I'll show you in a second here, going through and behind the counter, and I believe that is, let me see here, as soon as I decide to go. Double points right there. I'm just waiting to see the hint string to see how much it costs to get behind the counter. It completely slipped my mind. So I believe we're going here. Let's see. Yeah, 1,000, and then we've got a Bible Thompson on the wall. There's also a window behind me. And so then, yeah, the next blocker is for 2K. You can go inside here for 1,250. The only thing that's in there is the FG42. I've never actually opened that up myself. I just see what I can see from outside, and all I can see is the FG42. So anyways, that's all I know of that's in there. There might be something else, maybe a box spawn, but from what I can tell, it's not really worth it to open that up. Just not worth the 1,250 points to get in there, and then possibly another 1,000 to 1,500 for the FG42 itself. And this is where I'd recommend hanging out Whether you're playing solo or playing 4-player co-op or anything in between, this behind the counter area is the best spot for the early rounds, and by early I mean maybe up to round 8 or 9 depending on how many players you have. So I bought the first blocker for 2k, second one for 2k, turned on the power, bought Jug for 2500, and bouncing betties on the wall. There's also a box in there. You can buy the Bowie knife from behind here as well, and just quite a bit of stuff down here. I actually moved a lot sooner than I actually had to, but I didn't want to risk it. There's also I believe that's a double barrel on the wall. You can buy that as well. So I'm going to be going out into the next area here in a minute. I've got insta-kill on, so there's not as much rush to get out. But as I was saying before, behind the counter, really easy to hold. Gets a little bit tougher with one player, but with more than one player, you can easily hold that area for several rounds, and I'm talking up to round 9 or 10. Then things might getting a little risky, depending on how your communication is between the team, just because you don't have not quick revive, you don't have speed cola, and so the zombies start coming faster, obviously, it makes it a little bit tougher. I opened up the car for 1500, and I just opened up this barricade here for 1750, and now we're here in the main training area. And by main training area, it's not a huge area by any means, but it still gets the job done. Is a little bit risky if you don't have Jug. I actually tried going out here before going inside the diner, tried working on a strategy that involved going out here first. Doesn't work out very well. You have to get really, really lucky. And because without Jug, I was down in 2 hits, especially during training, because it's such a small area. The zombies tend to hit you multiple times within the span of a second or two. And so, yeah, really, really risky to be in here. There's Speed Cola behind where I just bought it, and then there was another blocker, I believe that was 750. There's an STG inside there, as well as another music box. I never opened that up. It's not really worth it. I got rather lucky right there. Got hit a couple times, but managed to bail out of there. So let me talk about the strategy a little bit. I already started talking about it, but we'll finish things off. Behind the counter strategy, you can rack up some points there, especially with more than one player. Everybody buys the Thompson, you've got one guy looking out for the window behind you, everybody else focusing fire up front. Really easy to hold, really nice to just rack up points there and then finally come out here once so you can get speed cola and then finish things off from here. And so that's where I'd like to start off. I'd recommend doing that for the first maybe 8 to 10 rounds and then book it back outside here. For solo, you can do exactly what I'm doing. Make sure that you have Jug, otherwise your trip will end really quickly. And then just kind of train them up around here. It is very tight. There's not a lot of room to train. There's quite a few risers that come out of the ground, and so things can get really messy. Things can get really tight. You really have to watch yourself, know where the zombies are in relation to everything else, the models in the world. Just be really careful when you're doing that, because that'll mess you up really fast. You can see the double barrel, not the double barrel, the trench gun off to the side right there, and you can pick that up if you want. I stick with the Thompson and the MP40 the whole game, especially for solo. That's really all you need. They're really great point weapons, and you've got a sufficient supply of ammo pretty close to you, and so not really a big deal with ammo, not really a big deal trying to really save ammo. And I got really lucky on the drops here. I've gotten several max ammos, several insta-kills, double points, and so that really made my trip a lot easier. So with more than one player, what you can do, and I have confirmation on this strategy from Zeba the Zombie Hugger, who I actually played this map with. I didn't beat it with her, but she showed me the map and then gave me some info on how to do it with more than one player. With more than one player, you can stick one guy back where Speed Cola is, or she was playing it with 4, so you can stick all 3 players back by Speed Cola, back where that lone zombie riser is. They can kind of hang back there, keep the zombies off the one person who's going to be training up front. They can kill the zombies that spawn back there, they can kill some of the surrounding zombies just to loosen up the load a little bit, but the main person who will be killing is the one person out front here. And so you can rack up the points that way. You also have the safety of numbers, so that if one player goes down, you always have the backup people to revive them and get things going back again. So that's the other strategy to do. As I said before, you can do the counter strategy for the first few rounds, then move outside here and you need to start training. you need to start racking up the points. It's not a very large viable ending. It's 15k, but there's a door right before it for 5k. So it'll cost you about 20k to get things going, and then you'll be in great business. So I beat it on round 11, which is coming right up. I've got 15k right now. And so there's kind of like an outhouse, maybe like a shed right behind the diner. You'll be seeing that in a minute. And that's where you buy a blocker there for 750, and then you buy a trigger inside there for 5k. That opens up a hole in the ground. You go down a tunnel. There's the pack-a-punch down there, as well as the viable ending. It's kind of a really bad place to open up, especially, I mean, if you don't have enough money for the viable ending, because it puts a hole right in the middle of where you're trying to train. Doesn't really work out so well, and so I basically don't recommend pack-a-punching because the Bible ending is so small. It's really not worth the 5k, and it opens up that giant hole in the floor. A couple other things to note on the map. There is a Bible max ammo. If you go straight where I'm looking down the site, there's a kind of like an ammo bag there. That's for 2.5k, and you can buy that, and that gives you max ammo to everybody. There are quiz nades, which are the impact nades. All your grenades explode on contact, so you want to be careful about that. Don't throw stuff at your feet. And yeah, opened up the first blocker for 750, and then that red trigger right there for 5k. Going to go down in this hole right here. We've got the pack-a-punch, and then off to the right, we've got the Bible ending for 15k. So congratulations, you've beaten Tim Hortons. If you guys, thanks for watching this video, and I hope you find this helpful in your quest to be Tim Hortons as well. The download link is in the description below, and thanks for watching this, guys, and until next time, later.